issue with my sales, my main sales manager, um, or I should say my office secretary lady, my controller. I had a huge deal with her in the very beginning when she first started, because she was like, Eric, this is what you hired me to do, and you're not allowing me to do it. And I'm like, yeah, but she's like, no, you've hired me to do this job. And we stole her from a car dealership right off of 59, number one car dealership in Michigan. And she does all the financial stuff and all that good stuff too. So she's like, you hired me, please let me do my job. And I'm over here just like everybody else, shaking, talking about, well, it's my baby. And Keith, this year was the very first time I was able to shut my phones off. So then that way it goes right over to the office, and I never have turned it on since. And so on the weekends, it's all streamlined where everybody takes the phone calls and then makes the sale even on the weekends. So how did I do that? I had to like turn around and believe in the systematics that I put in place, which is hard because I'm not a systematic person. I'm like, hey, I got a job. Let me write it on an envelope and I'll go ahead and write that into the schedule later, maybe tomorrow. Right? Where's that envelope at with that person's information on? But she helped streamline that process. And then I was like, okay, well, I'm going to take on the sales because that's what I'm really good at. So then I started doing the sales. And then this young lady was like, hey, I'm looking for a job and I heard that you might have something open for like sales. And I was like, yeah, no, I'm that person. So not really. Right. Yeah.
Bro.
And then I was like, you know what? And here's how I got her. And seriously, I was at TJ Maxx and this young lady was talking to me, but was selling me a credit card. And I hate credit cards. I'm like, nope, don't need one. But she was like so genuine about it. And I'm like, you're a hell of a salesperson. We need you on my team. And then she's like, well, I don't know. I'm thinking about it, maybe possibly. And then she calls me. And then here I am. I'm like, but that's my position, right? Sales is my gig, right? That's me. So I'm like, you know what? Okay. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to hire you on full time. I don't have that position available, Keith, at all. Right. So I'm like, oh, shoot. I'm like, I got to make this real deal. Right. Like, I got to like do everything to like coach her and guide her to where I need her to be. She was already a salesperson, which was awesome. But I coached her into what Bland Services was all about. And then all of a sudden, she's this mean, like demon machine of a salesperson, closing like over 50 grand every single month for the business since she's been there. Right. And so I'm writing out 5% commissions on every single one of this employees. Anybody who writes any business for us, we get 5%. Matter of fact, the guy who does our car detailing, 5%. The lady that does our in-home cleaning, because we have an in-home cleaning part of the business now, 5%. Everything's 5%. So you got 50 grand or higher. She's pulling in every single month since she's been here. 5% on top of that. Like it's ridiculous. Like she's making cash money. And I took her from a job that was paying her like $8 an hour. So now, yeah, so now like I kept coming in and then like I was weaning myself off. And then I went on vacation to New York just recently. I didn't get one phone call. I was nervous. I was like, I see the payments coming in like crazy, but I got no phone call while I was on vacation. And a matter of fact, I called and they're like, yeah, what is it that we can do for you? I was like, well, how's everything going? Like, is there any fires I need to put out? No, we got this, dude. Like, enjoy your vacation. So now my kids think I'm like retired. You know what I mean? Like they're like, you never do anything. All you do is like shop. And I'm like, that's not true. Like I do a lot still. But like I'll go in, like I went to the office yesterday just to be relevant, right? To keep my head popped in there, just listen to the phone calls, listen to how they could do a little bit better. But I'm the boss, and they always tell me this is that I'm not a hover. I don't hover. I'll explain something, I'll guide you, I'll direct you, but I will never hover, right? And I just have to hire great people, right? They have to be great in order for them to be able to work with us. And I have to allow them to do what they love to do. I can't put them in a place that they don't like, right? I can't hire them to do something they hate. I have to do something that they thrive and love on every single day. If I do that, Keith, now I'm like thinking to myself, dude, I don't even know what to do with my life. This is what retirement life is like. You know what I mean? So It's tough though. You gotta. It's my baby. It's what I've nurtured this far, and for them to bleed the same color bland services as I do, it's incredible. My employees are just absolutely amazing. I mean, I put so much trust in these. Every one of them has a credit card for bland services. You have to put trust in that they're not going to go spend their money on, whatever. But you just, I mean, it's a full blown company now, Keith, and it scares me half to death half the time. Matter of fact, I go in the back of the bay sometimes at the office and I look around and everything in that building, I paid for that. I paid for that for window cleaning, right? Originally, it's like this is like blows my mind. I'm like, and it has a lot to do with being lucky too. You got to be lucky, in the sense of you got to be at the right place at the right time. The more you work, though, the more opportunities you will have. You know what I mean? And just enjoying life now. I really am. I mean, it's coming down. Everybody says it's down to the slow season. Oh, I don't know what we're gonna do. It's the slow season. Everybody in our, not so much yours anymore because you do, landscape and all this stuff. Oh no, it's cold. Man, I'm loving it. I'm like, yeah, let's get it, baby. Let's go with it. We're hiring more people. We're scheduling people. You're only nervous, I think, in the business aspect of it, Keith, is if you're selling something one time, right? And you tell the customer, thanks so much for the check. I really appreciate you. Have a great day. I'll see you next year, right? That person's struggling right now, right? Now, systematically, if you say to that customer, hey, Mr. Customer, hey, we appreciate your business. We're going to set you up next year. What's up, bud? What's his name?
Oh, don't lose your thought because that was good. This is
No.
Gino. My wife rescued him. He
Oh,
has multiple heart issues. He actually had a heart attack a couple weeks ago in the backyard after chasing a squirrel. And I was like praying over him and doing CPR. And then he came back and he like, "Whew, man, if anything happens to this dog, I'm going to be literally crushed." But we didn't have any room for any more animals, and she was going to find a home for him.
mm-hmm. His best
And
bud.
yeah, now he's mine. Look at
That's
this.
cool.
I love this dog, bro.
That's
Give him.
awesome.
I love him, and he follows me everywhere I go. Like,
Yeah, he knows who's going to take care of him, and who saved
yeah,
his
keep
life.
keep going. Like your intention. Like
Yeah.
people get like one more thing. I just want to insert something. Sorry, people. When I used to hear guys talk like you're talking right now, I would get furiously pissed off. I'd be
Mm-hmm.
like, "Screw that guy! He's talking about because I was operating from a place of lack and limitation. And when you're reaching all this law of attraction crap, like it's true. When you're reaching for something and you feel like you're building a case and talking about why you can't have it, why it's not going to work, but it's
Yeah.
so hard, like that you're perpetuating that and you're speaking from a place of isness. You're speaking from a place of it just now somebody might be like, "Oh, this guy's bragging about being lazy." No, no, you don't
Oh
understand. Like at
no.
any time, if anything when your business would start to slip, you'd be
Oh,
all over it immediately.
I'd be right.
You've
I
yes.
we can go back to the video when this was like the very first video that you put out of us talking, and it was like Thanksgiving morning. You're getting a coffee. I'm out there. It's sleeting in my face, and I'm window cleaning. Right. So like I always tell the people, I always say, don't look at my life now because it's a really nice highlight reel. I was like, just don't forget where I came from. And I always tell my employees that don't get on my Facebook and start looking on there because that is the highlight reel only. I was like, you've only seen the tip of the iceberg. You didn't see where I really came from. I have two workers that's with are with me still that understand where I came from. One of them especially has been with me since day one, pretty much. And he's like, I'm so proud of you. You know what I mean? He goes, the problem is I'm in the same spot because I allowed myself to be there in that one spot. And you've always drugged me forward every single time. And I wouldn't even be where I am today if it wasn't for you. And I was like, well, I appreciate that, but I appreciate your hard work and dedication and time management that he gives our company. And that means a lot to us. But does it look perfect? I will say this to you. It's like having a kid. A lot of people say, well, if I'm going to just save some money and then I'll have a kid, right? Well, that's not an option, right? Like you can't just be like, yeah, it's
That
good.
before you skip over that, I want to forget there. I want to add to what you said. I have a guy that works for me, and I was having a tough time a couple months ago, and I opened up to him, and he said something to me. He's like, bro, like, uh, you've come a long way, Keith.
Mm,
And he said it from a place of support and a place of love. And I thought that, like, because when people work for you and they know the real you and they can see you, they don't just work
yeah.
for you; they're on your team. You love these people, like
Yeah.
you
Listen,
run
listen.
into a train for them, right? And when somebody that works for you who's on your team acknowledges you and you're the boss and says, "Man, I'm proud of you. You've come a long way," like that just puts tears in your eyes, because that means more than anything to also feel the support of the people that you support. That's when you know you start to have culture in your business, and that's something that's it,
Culture is huge, man. And so I have quite a few people working for me now. It's a bigger staff than I imagine myself, even a bigger staff. And I mean, we're looking for a secondary office, which is going to be a bigger office, which we're super stoked about. But you start to become part of these. I call it the family of land services, right? And we all sign this ball. We all like. There's a basketball in the office. We all sign it, and even people that had passed, on to another opportunity or whatever, their name's still on there. But it's all about team, right? And you start loving on these employees, man, and just like hearing their stories, and they're pouring out to you, and it's a huge thing for family with us, like there's some hard stories. As much as we go through as human beings, they are going through something in their life too, whether they're going into a storm, right in the middle of a storm, or getting ready to be in a storm, you know, or getting out of a storm, I should say. That is where they're at in their life. So you just pour into them, as employee wise. Don't yell at your employees. From experience, I can say yelling won't do anything. I always say if there's a problem, there's a miscommunication somewhere. Let's find the miscommunication puzzle piece. Not that we don't get aggravated at each other, and there's words that are said, but saying all this as an owner, if you love on your employees, take care of your employees, listen to your employees, because they could be telling you. It's like my dad wasn't a very good person at saying like I'm sorry, but he'll like go and buy you like a new shirt or something, and that's him like saying I'm sorry. Your employees are going to be the same way. They're going to be asking you for things, but they're not going to be asking you for things, right? And so back to what you originally said, like how did you get to where you are today, and how did you push forward, and how did you create these opportunities for yourself? I was just listening to my employees. My employee told me she wanted to be she wanted to be a controller. That's the word that she used, not like a controlling person, but like a controller in the atmosphere of business. She wanted to be ahead of everything in the office. She wanted to just be the manager. She wanted to be my secretary. She wanted to take control of that office. And I wasn't listening to her. I was like listening to my thought, like I'm the best. I own this. I'll show you how this is done. But then when I started listening to her, and I'm like, all right, I gotta let her do it, man. I gotta step back. And when I did that, I'm just gonna tell you, it's been the best thing. And I tell him all the time. I told him today. As a matter of fact, I asked her. I said, I need a budget put together for weekly or daily, weekly, and monthly of the business. She says, "You mean something like this?" She's got it categorized. Some I don't know where she got the information or what, but she's got all categories. You can go by day of when we purchase something and how much it costs per week and per month for that business to run. And I'm like, yeah, that's what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? Like I guys, I wouldn't do that. I'm horrible at that. I'm horrible. I'm a great blue collared worker. I can work 105 hours a week, but I'm not a white collar worker. Put me in the office and I'm like, yeah, so the phones aren't, really ringing right now. So now what? I guess I'll go in the back and do something in the back bay. You know what I mean? But they're like, yeah, let's do this. Let's do all this paperwork stuff. And I'm like, yeah, that doesn't sound like any fun to me. Right. So, and she's incredible. Both of them, Lindsay, which is our sales executive manager, she calls me up. She's like, "Hey, I just want to let you know, I landed $15,000 Plaza. I just want to let you know, I got the check, 50%. I ran and grabbed it. Hope you don't mind that I grabbed it on my lunch break." I said, "You know what? Go ahead and take another half hour. You're good."
whoa.
Yeah.
So in my business, most of the year I've been out of the field. Like I had to go to one job site today for I think a half an hour. It was my first time going to any of the job sites this week because I had to do one very specific thing. And and then I left. Like if I'm on a job for longer than half an hour, I start getting anxiety, and I got to get the hell out of there because I have so
Yeah.
much other stuff to do. It's like when you quote unquote, I guess I'm still doing sales, so I'm not out of the field. But when you get out of the field, it's like it opens up all these paradigms, and you can actually start to work on the things that were starving in your
Yeah.
business that you've been ignoring, like. I don't know, getting your books organized, your marketing, your follow up sequences, all the things that are low hanging fruit and money because you didn't have the right guys in the field that you can trust. And for me, I got to the point where I was so depressed that I was willing to shut down my whole business
Mm,
because I had to get to the point where it got so bad where the pain of changing
mm.
was actually less painful than the pain of staying the same, where I
Yeah.
was pushed off the edge. So I was clinging on for my dear life, working, constantly in the field every day and being
So
handcuffed to the steering wheel of that truck.
you were working in your business and you were also working on your business. So working in your business and working on your business, there's a two different, thresholds there. But if you're burning the candle at both ends, it's going to get hard. And matter of fact, you're going to get to the point where they're just like, you're like, I can't do all this. I mean, because and then your loved one comes to you and says, hey, you want to, no, I don't want to do anything. I can't do anything. My mind's not even there. Like I'm losing this. I'm doing that. I'm doing, it gets all crazy. And it's that paradigm switch in your mind's got to, you have to back away and you have to put somebody in place that's good at their job. And maybe you can't afford that right now. I'm not saying you, but maybe the guys and girls that are listening right now, well, I can't afford it. You know what? I couldn't afford it either. So I had to take a pay cut, some huge pay cuts right at the beginning of these stages. Right. And I was like, well, this is horrible. And then I had one lady steal 12 grand from me right at the rip, and it was a family member. So I was like, well, my gosh, now I'm right back where I started. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And
Right.
so,
So I just want to clarify real quick for those who don't know when he says he took a pay cut, what he means is when you have your service business, your I don't know, landscaping, window cleaning, mowing lawns, pressure washing, cleaning gutters, whatever you do, you're in the field, you're paying yourself. You might take draws out of the business, but you're also paying yourself a technician's wage or a
yeah,
technician's salary. You might pay yourself 25 bucks an hour. As soon as you remove yourself out of the field and you're doing what's called unbillable, they're not really billable hours. Like
right,
when you're out producing and production, because if you're marketing or you're doing the administration or you're whatever you're doing, that stuff. Now, sales isn't a very important thing. You might be doing the sales, but if you're doing everything, but then you pull yourself out of like the driver in the business, if it's you and you're the one moving the needle for it every day, getting the jobs done, you're making sure that all these jobs get done by 6 p.m.
yeah,
You're keeping the money flowing. So when you put somebody else in that position or someone else in the truck who's not you, now you're not paying yourself that wage. You give that wage to them or you pay them 20, 25 bucks an hour. So your income goes boo. Now you have to go out and sell your ass off to close the gap and
yes, and
sell more, expand more, raise the prices. Yeah.
that's exactly what I had to do. And I got nervous at first because I was like, I don't know how the salesperson's going to go. And I got a ton of salespeople that are ready to jump on board, but we're not ready to put them on. We're putting another salesperson in middle of March, which we're super stoked about because I know from having past paperwork and having everything down to a T, I know what we're approximately going to bring in next March.
Yeah.
And I'll be able to go ahead and leverage that for them. And
There's only so much that a couple guys at a truck can do per day. So how many trucks do you have out to also cover the cost of, paying the salesperson and paying your office manager?
6 vehicles out right now. So
6.
6 vehicles out right.
What was the number where you got out of cash flow purgatory and you started to make some money back? Like how many trucks?
I would say by 3 trucks, you're going to live a little bit more comfortable. And by
Will you be back to where you were when it was you in the truck or not yet?
mm, depends on how stingy you are. I wasn't. I kept putting the money back in the business, so it was a little bit tighter. Now, don't get me wrong, I was enjoying my life too, but in the last 2 years, I mean, I've really enjoyed life quite.
It's hard not to when you spend
Yeah.
a decade plus building a business, feeling like you're a slave to it, and then you get a little bit of freedom.
Yes. Now,
Uh,
you got to
it's
put it back in the business still. If you, I've always heard the saying, if you can't pay for it 3 times over, you can't afford it, right?
mhm.
And just to touch bases real quick on what we were talking about just a little bit before, is that as you're building your business, um, Keith, I walked in the office on Monday, and I'm looking at all these accounts. I'm looking at all these accounts, and I'm like, I don't even know who these people are. right? All these commercial accounts that we just got, I could walk in there with Bland Services hat and shirt and like walk in with window cleaning stuff and they wouldn't even know who I am, right? Like, I'm like, that is life. That's life to me, right? That my employees are doing what I would have done, maybe even better, right? And they're crushing it for me. And so, hiring those people that are A1 players to the game, important. I believe, it's all right. He's agreeing with me, right? So he's just saying, hey, but I think the most important thing that I can say to you guys is it's not going to happen overnight. If you guys are working in your truck, I had one guy come to me. He's like, hey man, yeah, I'm in my nice truck. It's like 80 grand. And I'm like, oh yeah, cool. So how's it working in the field? And he's like, yeah, it sucks. I'm like, but how's your new truck doing? He's like, oh man, it's awesome. I'm like, the problem is you're so worried about your new looking truck. And now, you don't have to have the newest of the newest of the newest of the newest. I mean, start small, be there. I'm not saying have crap equipment, but I'm saying have something enough to be able to push forward on it. You know what I mean?
One thing really opened up my mind about that was the 20% rule.
Mm,
Let's
yeah.
just say if you make 20% profit margin in your business,
Yeah.
if you're a solo operator, we're gonna make a way more than that. But it's just the 20% rule. Hear me out. So that means that out of every $1,000, you only keep 200 net profit. If you do 10,000, you keep 2,000. 100,000, 20,000 net profit. Now, obviously, that's changes because it's on a gradient and whatever the scale is, it's totally different. But it's
Right.
called the 20% rule for sake of simplicity. Now, if you go out and buy $1,000 a month truck payment, there's a payment on a truck,
Yeah.
you have to go out and sell, produce, close, produce, and bill and collect
Yeah.
$5,000 more worth of work every single month than you're already doing. And obviously, you have write offs and there's a business expense, but can you afford to actually do that? Do you have the time, to capacity, to bandwidth? Do you need that $1,000 a month truck payment, or can you get 3 trucks for $333 a piece that actually go out and produce revenue? And so, like the whole 80 or $100,000 truck thing that looks so amazing, I think about it like I didn't understand before, and I'm not saying I totally understand now, like because I only have a couple trucks. But when I see the guy with $1 million business driving, a 10-year-old truck and packing his lunch, I'm like, what the hell are you doing? Like how? Because he's looking at, in what terms can I have other people out? Like, is this duplicatable? Is this multipliable?
I'm
Then
gonna
why would I do it?
Yeah, I'm gonna give you the prime example. So I bought my dream car last year, which you've seen. I think it's a Bentley. Okay, the car originated at $196,000 is what that car originally cost. Okay, so I paid about 90 for it. Now 90,000. That car is beautiful. I love that car, right? But it just sits there. It just sits in the back, costing me money every single month, right? Now I paid cash for it, so I don't have to worry about all that. But what if I bought three other trucks? What if I bought three trucks or two trucks in a car, right, for the business? How much further would I even be? You know what I mean? I could buy two Bentleys, you know what I mean? Or go right over to my Ferrari and Lamborghini. I mean, right? I could just jump right over that threshold. But I'm enjoying where I'm at. I lost my parents young, so I want to make sure I live my life to the fullest. So everybody always says you live like you're dying tomorrow. Well, yeah, I am. I get to do the enjoyments now, but I think what happens is people that get connected with me, they think that are just starting their business, they're like, I can live like that now. No, I never lived like this. Never, ever did I live like this. I always was out working, and you'll be able to tell. I'm a pretty good indicator when talking to me. I'm always like, hey, how's it going? They're like, I'm crushing it. I'm like, it's okay not to crush it too, man. It's okay to be like struggling, right? Because this resonated big time with me. On the mountaintop, you have these mountains, right? Like what grows at the top of the mountain? Nothing. It snows. There's just snow up there. But down in the valleys is where all the growth takes place, right? That's where the beautiful trees are, and that's where all the growth is. In our life, that's what happens too. I'm not perfect to this, you guys. I'm learning every day. That's which is good about me. I'm constantly moldable. I'm not right. I'm always willing to learn new items and new tricks and listening to people. So and I always say this, and it's nothing against Keith Kalfas whatsoever, but he's giving you guys so much free information. It's like you guys should be paying him a college education wage for him to tell you all this stuff for free. It's incredible. The stuff he's giving you guys. And I'm not just saying that because I'm here, Keith, but the stuff that you give these guys, and if they just applied one of the 10 items that you give them for that month, how much further would you be ahead? You know, and it's incredible. I've taken a lot of the things that you've said over the years, I've applied them to my life and my business, and actually applied them, and I'm like, oh shoot, man, that worked. That was cool. All right, let's see if I can do that again. You know what I mean? But maybe in a larger scale. And I think what happens is there was a guy that just put a quote up there a little bit ago, said he had to shut his business down because he couldn't get over that hump, right? Well, I don't know if you can pull that up, but if you can, or I don't know if he's still on here. Yeah, I closed my handyman business because I couldn't get over the threshold. I had 2 trucks and one tool trailer. Just couldn't make enough money. The problem is, and no offense to Philip if he's still on, is he was probably, if I would assume, but assuming probably makes an ass out of me. So, but just let me just assume for a moment. You are working so hard on creating your baby that you were just working and not doing the advertisement, because when you come home, you got bills, you got everything else. Last thing you want to do is talk to Google and talk about, yeah, I need to put a big old smiley face ad up. I'll talk about, we're here to help you, handyman, blah, you know. So you have to continually be advertising. Busy, super busy, busy up to your eyeballs. You have a straw outside the water because you're so overwhelmingly stressed. Yep, you should be advertising. You shouldn't be advertising. I always say any advertisement that you put out, and I say this to my employees all the time because they're like, Eric, those flyers aren't working. And then 6 months later, boom, something happens. I said, expect those advertisements to work in 1 month from today. Whatever we don't do today will be regarded in one more month from now. And
Planting seeds.
it repeats, it does. And so I said, okay, I remember there was a time in April. One day we had no sales. And I called the office because they check it, they do a check-in 12 o'clock. They do a check-in at 12 o'clock, 3 o'clock, and 5 o'clock. And at 3 o'clock, 3:30, it came in because I think they were trying to wait for like a call to come in. Nothing. Dead silent. My phone was dead. I thought my phone was broken. I was like, you guys, did you not get any sales in at all? They're like, nope. So what do you think I did? Sat there and say, well, good luck. Hope some calls come in. I got over to the office. I started making phone calls, sales calls. All of a sudden, all my team are calling. All the phone lines are all. We went from one line to 2 lines to 4 lines, and now we have 8 lines at the office. So all the lines are going crazy. But all of a sudden start calling out. Then all of a sudden they started returning phone calls right away. And I'm not saying that's going to happen every time, but it was just like a huge miracle. And we did like, it was like one of those, like, if you build it, they will come. Like it was like that. Like it by 2 hours, like I had an hour and a half left to crush numbers. Like I wasn't going with a 0 day. That's just not in my manner, right? So we're calling. I think we got right under 8 grand that day. You know what I mean? So it's like that's what we do. We got to crush it. It's nothing perfect. We're not perfect. We're all human, but we put a lot of advertisement money out there too, so that helps.
I want to talk about math and numbers. So, all advertisement, like, what does that mean? It's a real thing, but it's also etheric to some. If you don't understand the numbers, like, so you have trickle flow flood. If you get a flood of leads coming in all the time, that's people calling,
Yep.
um, also previous customers emailing and texting. Hopefully, you've closed a loop and you've turned them into clients, and you're contacting them, or they're contacting you. But if there's different lead sources coming in, there's a whole bunch of them: Yahoo, Bing, Google My Business, Facebook, Google Ads, Facebook Ads, YouTube, social media, organic, word of mouth, referrals, Fiverr rounds, all these different ways. And when they're coming in, it's like, is there enough coming in so you can qualify the leads, pre-qualify them over the phone so you can, before going to do an in-person quote, or can you close it over the phone without having to physically actually to go there? Like, the better, more you can do that, the better, just without having to travel across town. But are you closing the leads at a high enough man-hour rate to actually run the business profitably? And then depending on the ebb and flow of the season, like going into a recession right now,
Mhm.
or that supposedly we're already in,
Yeah.
are you forced
Yeah.
because if you're not actually forcing, you don't have to lower prices, because at some point the closing rate might go so low. Like what is the math and the numbers that you might have to lower prices a little, or you might have to create more value, or become better at upselling packages, or just advertise like crazy, like keeping a constant barometer on that, but paying attention to the numbers that you need to make per truck per day, the man hour rate, like what is the math? Because if the guy said he just couldn't make enough money, well, maybe he was frustrated because he raised his prices to try to make more money, and then his customers started firing him, and then
Yeah.
he felt like it was hopeless. He kept running into that brick wall. So I think a better version of the question would be like, how do you get over that hump of having customers keep losing customers?
I don't think I don't know his story, but I probably don't think it's probably that. I think it's in
Mhm.
all of us entrepreneurs, especially starting out that didn't go to Harvard or any college, is that we want to make our customers happy. And happy to them is a lower price, right? The problem is if you give customer A lower price today, next year customer A is going to call you back and you're not going to be around. Why? Because customer A was so happy about their price. So we close right about 70% of our calls. Okay, 70% is a good number to stay in. Um, we are raising prices again in January. So we do a lot of package deals though. So I've learned that if you're just selling one package, like that's one thing, or like one item that we service, like let's just say we do air duct cleaning, and all you're doing is just selling air duct cleaning. Why? Don't be happy if you're calling me and close. Matter of fact, my sales team that I have there, the two ladies, they have to text me when they only sell one item, right? So they have to sell. They sell an item. They say, "Oh, I don't want. I just want air duct cleaning. I don't want dryer vent cleaning. I don't want window cleaning. I don't want gutter cleaning. I don't want power washing. They just want dryer vent or air duct cleaning." So like a $495 service, right? $495 service. Great. Check that off. They have to text me and let me know that they've only sold one thing, and they didn't do a package deal, right? Why? Because it holds them accountable that they like, crap, okay, I sold $495, great, but I didn't package it with anything. And then once we service that customer, we call them back and say, Mr. Customer, 1 week later, how did that service go? Great. Oh, you know what? We've seen that you possibly wanted dryer vent cleaning done. Could we offer that service to you and be back out there? Yeah, you know what? I do need that. Why don't you guys come back out here? Then all of a sudden they call back again and they say, hey, we did your dryer vent cleaning. How'd that work out? Looks like it's fall time. Could we do it your gutter cleaning? Is there, those darn leaves are falling, can we possibly
So,
go ahead and
wait,
do that?
you being a stage three business out of the field, to take this information and articulate it to a stage one business owner could make them, which is the guy who's in the truck doing everything, pulling his hair out.
Mm-hmm.
You're speaking from, you had the time to actually go through that process and talk to the customers. When a guy is literally just jumped off the machine or jumped off the mower or jumped off the squeegee and he's got somewhere else to be, he does, and he's like, and he's got to be at home for dinner, to the kids' dance recital, or whether like he doesn't
So
have time to go through that
So
process. What?
he has to, and so what he has to do is be something that I wasn't for years until I learned this one thing. And everybody's like, "What's that one thing?" Well, I'll sell it to you for $9.99. No, just kidding. No, the you have to have systems. It's the stupidest thing. I hated when people told me that. I was like, dude, you have no idea what it's like to run a business. You have to have systems. I'm not saying you have to have the perfect system right away. Just start setting them up. What does that mean? Well, all right, time management. Okay, hard work, dedication, time management. Those three things got me to where I am today. Time management is huge. You don't think you have enough time in the day to do something? I promise you do. You're not, no offense to you guys for watching me. I'm glad you're watching us, but I mean, you could be doing what you were supposed to be doing. You know what I mean, in your business than watching this video. Sorry, Kelfis, your views might go down. No, just kidding. But the thing is you have to be so systematic. If I was to start a new company all back over and do it myself, I would be so laser focused on systems that I would be doing a job, getting done with that job, talking to that customer, rebooking that customer while I was right there in front of them. Listen, I know the feeling of wanting to get out of Mrs. Jones's house because you have the next job to go to, or you're just so tired you need to go home that you grab the check and you run out of there and you're like, "Woo, baby, time to cash that because man, my rent's due." You know what I mean? But if you would say, Mrs. Jones, I was noticing that those gutters or the trees need to be trimmed or whatever your service is out there, you guys are at. I I would highly recommend, in my professional opinion, if we can get those trimmed up for what if I give you a quote right now? And let's say, okay, what's the quote? $1,500. So what we do here at Bland Services, we just take a 50% down Visa, MasterCard, American Express, and we'll go ahead and hold that next Tuesday down for you with that deposit of the 750, and we'll collect the next 750. So when we get here, we'll do the job. You'll sign off on it, stating that we did the job. You'll get some before and after pictures, and then we'll run the other 750. Visa, MasterCard, American Express. Oh, yeah. Oh, well, use your points card. It's the best for mileage. Yeah. And then they're like, oh, yeah, this is great. So that is what you have to do if you're a one-man show. I promise you, if you do that for 2 months and a solid season, like March, April, May, June, you won't be by yourself very often. You're going to have to get another guy and another guy and another
There,
guy.
you just close that loop because you're still speaking from the stage three. Everything you're saying makes sense at
Mhm.
stage three business, but stage one is saying, I can barely do the work that I'm doing right now. How am I going to do? Why
Mhm.
would I want to sit here and sell more? It's like you get this chicken and the egg thing, and it's like,
You have to. In
so
order to get to where stage three that you're talking about, stage one, let's just use landscaping. I'm on the mower, but crap, I don't have the time, Eric, to go and do that because right after I get off the mower, I gotta go weed whip, bro. Like I gotta weed whip. So like I'm weed whipping over here. But here's the thing. All right, so maybe you don't have that time. So maybe, hopefully, you have flyers, right? You take those flyers and you throw three out, right? Or maybe four or five out. Yeah, well, that takes 4 minutes, Eric. Four times 30 stops is a long time. Well, either you have it or you don't have it. You know what I mean? How bad do you want it? Like, I have people that I used to coach a long time ago, and I just start dropping them off because I'm not even interested in doing it. I don't have the time anymore to do it. But I wasn't interested in people that were coming to me like, yeah, man, it's tough.
we're freezing. How is this possible? We have great internet connection. If you guys are still here, hope you can hear them. Oh,
All
we
right.
froze. We're
So,
back.
so you're continuing. I don't know where I was going with that, but nonetheless, as a stage one, you're continually doing everything. You're wearing all the hats. You just have to be vigilant on the hats that you're wearing and doing them. When somebody says to me, I hated this saying too, Kelfis. They're like, ask every millionaire on what they do, and it's always you hear this word laser focused, right? They get laser focused on it. All right, so you do your work, you're working in the field, then you're passing out those cards, right? And you're doing the same process over and over again. You won't, if you pass out all those cards to people back, right? You're not going to be by yourself very long. You're going
Okay,
to put somebody on.
so what the one thing that I want to tie in here and articulate and make the distinction of is the epiphany bridge. How do we bridge everything you're saying to the guy who's like solo in the truck or he wants to get out of the field to where you're at? What's the epiphany that makes him go, "Oh my god,
That you
why
can't
was
do
it?"
you can't do everything yourself.
Okay,
So,
so it's
right?
who, not how. I read an amazing book by Dan Sullivan, strategic coach, called Who Not How. I've actually read all of his books, changed my life. When you were stuck in the paradigm, you keep asking, yeah, but how the F am I going to do that? How am I going to do it? How am I going to do? How am I going to do this? Then do this, then get home and do this and do this. How? You're asking the wrong question. When you ask that wrong question, you get you get an answer that's banging your head against the wall. You say, who
Hmm.
can I hire to do the weed whipping, the blowing, and the edging and the power washing? Who are the customers that I'm gonna get? Who's gonna make me this band assigned? Who's gonna work in the office for me? Who's gonna be my bookkeeper? Who's gonna be the account? You keep on saying who are the who's who can
Right.
do all the hows so I can be the entrepreneur. You
Absolutely.
you need the who's.
Yeah. And when you're, I can tell you this, I'm a big person on vibrations and everything that you say out loud. So I'm very cautious of what I say about myself, right? People may say a lot of things, which I'm okay with, all right? But me personally, I will go ahead and say good, positive things. So when you say, who am I going to hire? You get this thing going in your brain, or you should at least have this thought process like, yeah, who would be good at that? And then remember when I bumped into that girl over at TJ Maxx that brings in over $50,000 a month in the window cleaning, gutter cleaning, power washing business? Like that was the who,
Yeah.
right? So now I was on the lookout for that person. So now I'm like, there's the who.
Because you stepped out on faith with
Yeah,
positive expectancy, and now
yeah,
it opened up into your field of consciousness, and you were able to attract
yeah.
it
Now,
because
yeah,
you had taken the step. You
yeah.
stepped into the arena of, okay, now I've made the conscious decision. Decide it means to cut off other options. You
Mhm,
made the decision,
yeah.
and then, so it's like, think about it. Like if I want to like take I don't know, a baseball bat, hit a ball, and I'm looking at the bat on the ground, saying, yeah, but I want to hit the ball. I want to swing the bat. I want to get up. I want to get out there. I want to, you go nuts, right? But
Yeah.
if you actually, this sounds really weird and super simple, but like if you just take one foot in front of the other and bend over and pick up the bat and
Hmm.
then hit the damn ball, like what are the chances you're going to have a like you have to actually, I was about to scream and just say, just effing do
Right, right.
it.
So this young man down here at the bottom says, people say no thanks, so scary, and bring the mental, my mental down, right? So let me ask you a question. So Keith and I are good acquaintances, right? So as business owners, and I'll speak for myself here, I have a a thick skin. Okay, my employees, the one that came in wanted to be the manager. I mean, she would be crying day in, day out. The customer just yelled at me. And now you should hear on, like, we call her a mini bland because she's like, all right, but what I just told you, Mr. Customer, is that we can be there next to, like, she's a different beast now, right? But you have to, have thicker skin. And I don't care what people say about me because they're not paying my paycheck, right? If a customer says it's too much, that is not your customer. Not your customer. Matter of fact, today when I was in the office, and again, I'll share some imperfect things that I do in my life. I get on the phone and this lady's like, "Yeah, I got to get somebody else's quote. You're too expensive." Now, okay, the reason again I'm not on the phones is I probably shouldn't be on the phones, Keith, because I like to give customers what I think about them at that point. Well, then I said, Mr. Customer, before you leave on the phone, I know you're going on a cruise, but let me explain something to you. The reason why we're more expensive is we have insurance. Now you can get insurance just about anywhere. Okay, so maybe you pay 150 bucks, 200, $300 for insurance. We pay workman's comp. Okay, so now if my employee falls off the roof, they're not going to sue you for your beautiful, bright, awesome, amazing house that we just cleaned up, right? They're going to come back to Bland Services and they're going to sue our insurance company for that. See how that works out? So we have to provide all the risks, right? And accept the responsibilities of those risks. And so, guess what? We are a little bit more. Now, she's going on and on, screaming and yelling and complaining, and she's not getting it, right? I wouldn't let anybody on my property without insurance or workman's comp. Like, I wouldn't, right? Knowing what I know now, I don't want to lose anything in my house, right? Somebody fall off my roof and now they want to sue me for 2-3 million. You know what I mean? Now that cool Bentley's goodbye, gone. It's up for sale. You know what I mean? But I say it, and then she's, I'm not perfect, right? So I was like, well, I hope your cruise doesn't, I hope your cruise has insurance, so when it goes down, that your property gets replaced or something. Like I'm not perfect, all right. This is another reason I'm not should be on the phones, but like there's and don't do that. I'm not saying that you guys are allowed to do that to your customers because that's not a good thing, right? And I told my employees afterwards, I felt like so like crappy because I was like, okay, don't ever learn from me. Like that's not what you're learning from me. You're learning positive things. But like I take offensive when people just ask me for a price. Don't ask me for a price. Like if you're asking me for a price, that person said, hey, listen, you're too expensive. Probably for you, Mr. Customer. There's people that give us thousands and thousands of dollars and they can't get their freaking credit card out of their mouth fast enough. I remember walking in last week and the customer is going like this, trying to give our lady the card number so fast that she a $7,000 deal, 3,500.
Wow. Keep going. One second.
Yep, no worries. So I think this is exactly most guys in the area say, sure, I am licensed and insured, cough, cough, driver's license and car insurance. Yeah, and a lot of people will say that, Charles, to you. But I think one of the most important things is to have them prove it. You know, I can't stand Facebook posts. The Facebook posts are the most annoying, Charles, because you get people on there that are like, oh, and I love my friends for like totally like shouting us out and saying, hey, I think it's a good idea. Bland Services will take care of you because somebody asked for a window cleaner, gutter cleaner, and then they're like, well, are they cheap price? And I respond back on there, nope, we're not cheap. I'm like, nope, we're quite expensive actually. We're at the top of our field, and they're like, wait, what do you mean? But then you have other customers chirping in, hey, they did a great job, they did a phenomenal job, and this is why we have so many be back customers that we have. So I think that's incredible. I can't see the other questions that may come in or who's on here. I'm just looking at whatever screens that we're sharing here. But I think it's important that you guys know, um, lazy customers, that how did you guys get through the first winter time that you went all in? Well, I can tell you, and Tom, I'm going to say this out of the kindness of my heart. My heart is about as black as can be. No, just kidding. Is that this is something that you should have worried about 4 months ago? Okay. And no offense. So maybe you didn't. Next year, you're going to have to worry about December and maybe July, right? So you have to prepare yourself well before, like in my area, nobody's hiring window cleaning, gutters cleaning, and power wash. Maybe gutter cleaning right now, but power washing people, they're not. Guess who is? We're hiring, right? The reason why is I set myself up months ago in order to know that I have to push the advertisement. One thing I will say this to you guys: if you guys are answering the phone, it is crucial. You're one person. So I have to bring it back from where I am today back to the one truck because Keith keeps driving me back to the one truck, right? So you have to ask your customers the same question verbatim. We have a call sheet, and I say it just the same way. Hi, Mr. Customer. How are you? So happy you called today. I think we can take care of you for that. I don't know if we can take care of you on that, but let's see if we can. How'd you hear about us? And I always put it just like that. Customers call in. I don't know if I can help you, Mr. Customer, but let's see if we can. Right? Because now it's like I'm not trying to sell them. Matter of fact, I don't even know if I can help you. Now they're like, but I need help, right? And then you ask them, how'd you hear about us? Well, we found you on a yard sign, or we found you on Yelp, or we seen your TV commercial, we seen your billboard sign. Okay, great. I'm not asking because I am just wanting to have a conversation with her. I'm asking because I want to know where my dang advertisements dollar is going to go next month. Right? Billboard, commercial, yard signs. Is it going to go somewhere? Right?
And you
Those.
can mark it all down, and then you can run a quarterly and yearly
Yeah.
analysis and see what percentage of your lead sources are
Yeah.
performing, where the dollars are. You can see down to what zip code,
Mm.
socioeconomic strata, the customer avatar. You can get all this data that paints a
Yeah.
picture. It says, oh my God, there's all this 80-20 rule. There's all this opportunity right here, and it was right in front of me this whole time. All this low hanging fruit, and I was pissing my time away over here.
Listen, you just scared whoever that was. You were like, "What do you mean?" Because that's okay. So that's what, like, where my mind goes. The employee mind's not there yet. So like maybe the first truck's not there yet either. You have to like catch up with what Keith had just thrown at you. He just threw like probably 6 months of training at you in one sentence, right? What he meant there, and it's a lot of information. If you actually like reverse engineer what he just said, you can break it down, right? To a point that you can see next winter. When that gentleman just said, hey, how do you go with the winter? I know he said first winter, but this would be a second winter. You can look at your sheets and say, well, shoot, I did 50 grand or 100,000 or 200,000 that month. Okay, so first I got to go back first truck. Let's say you did $5,000 that month, right? Or $2,000 that month. Okay, so if you raise that 10%, we do 10% of every, we try to do 10% of every year. It doesn't always happen, but that's a goal of ours, right? It's 5% and 10%. 5% we try to meet from last year. 10% is our stretch goal. So you mark it all down and say, well, rough numbers, roughly, unless all hell breaks loose again in the economy, we're going to bring about X in. Okay, great. So now I can predict on how my company is going to do. Should I eat lobster and dinner probably in November, December, January, and February? Probably not, right? You'll probably eating ramen noodles, right? But at that point, then in March, April, May, June, you're back to eating steak and lobster again. But how do you really do that? You have to predict that. Let's see what this July is like January, but it's the time of rest and goals. Yeah, I, I, I agree and disagree with you, Charles. I don't, I don't, I'm 10 years resting, right? I'm 10 years being in this game, working 7 days a week, no lie. Like Keith is a good example of this as well. Like, okay, when we get down, look at this guy's
Oh
working.
no, I'll be out. I've been out working,
Yeah.
like out
You,
on a
you,
late Saturday night or a scene on a Sunday, and I'll see Eric out working because we both live like
yeah.
a couple cities away,
Yeah.
and yeah.
Yeah, and that's the difference. So everybody's like, yeah, he's resting for the season. It's like I don't even know what that means. Only now do I understand what a little bit of resting is. But there's still a lot on my plate because now I have more employees and now I have to worry about it. And when you're bringing in $10,000 in payroll a week, that's 500,000 over $500,000 a year just in payroll. And I know you're like, well, bring it back to first truck again, man. Bring it back to first truck. But just because we have bigger businesses doesn't mean that we don't have bigger problems either. Great rap song. It was very true. Okay. As it's getting bigger. Um, I want to hear, uh, Keith, there's something that happens, um, right before you want to give up. You know what I mean? Like there's something that happens to us owners, and I've been there. Every owner, president, every you know highly recommended person, everybody at their top level have wanted to quit. What what was that purpose? And I guess I should say, what is your if you know what your why is, right? I think that's huge. What was your why? Like what was it? Was it I know it's got to be your family and stuff, man, but like what else was it? Was it like I was gonna let down the I was gonna let down all the people that looked up to me, right? That said, like, he did it. Like he's doing it, right? And there was a time in the business I don't let on when things are going wrong. There was time in the business, like right after like right 2020 happened, I was losing everything. I was losing everything. This is the same year I contracted my building too. Okay, right before that. the, I had over probably 90% of my customers call me and say they want windows cleaning because there's nobody there. Right. So I was losing everything. That was like my why was like everybody around me. I'm not going to disappoint. What was yours?
You know what? When you're saying the why, are you asking about the why to keep going or the why to what?
Your yeah,
Which why?
your why of not stopping. Like cuz the problem is for me too. I hate the saying and take no if you guys are there and you guys quit or whatever, it is what it is, okay? But I hate the saying when somebody comes up to me and I was a landscaper. I had my own company. But why did you have your own company? Well, I don't know. I wanted to make a lot of money. Well, that's probably why you don't do it no more. I want to help people, right? I want to help people. I want to take care of people. I want to make sure that their project gets done A to Z, right? That's huge. That person's going to be rich one day. 100% that thinks that way, right?
Yes, because the motivating factor beyond fear, because I could say for me, it's really sad, but it's just fear is what pushed me, and it's like when you finally get out of total scarcity and scrambling just to keep the bills paid, and
Mm,
one family dramatic emergency after another. It's like, and you got vehicles breaking down. It's like it takes a long time to get your head right and to get around the right people to get off like square one and to actually, you know, get established, get an established business, get some money in the bank, get a good credit score, get all this stuff. And then when you finally get there and it like where you dreamed and hoped that you thought if you could be there one day when you're flat broke and struggling, like if I could just be there and have a house and have some money, like that would be a dream come true. And then when you finally get there, you can actually go into total depression because you realize that it's nothing at all that it's cracked up to be. It's just a whole bunch of responsibility. You don't have, now you're time bankrupt. You finally got the stuff that you said you wanted, but you don't have any time because you're working constantly to maintain it. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be. I've hit some of my own dreams and personal goals. We did like 60 million views online. I hit my first.
That's sweet.
We did. I'm sick of talking about this stuff because I regret about talking about it after. And like I've hit certain numbers and sales that
Don't
was.
regret those, because those
No, I
are
regret talking about it because
that,
I was like, why would I share that with people?
no,
Like, no,
no,
but
because it's important to celebrate the smalls, and it's important. No, so that's what I was
okay,
talking when I said I don't talk back down to myself, because celebrate the wins, right? So it's okay to celebrate your wins, even if
yeah,
it's small or big. 60 million views, like come on, dude, like that's huge celebration. Like we celebrate some stupid football game where a guy takes a football and throws it down the field for a freaking touchdown. We get excited about that, right? How
mhm,
can we not be excited about 60 million views, right? Like
yeah,
that's huge. That's some big
yeah.
stuff.
So what happened was my motives had changed. The reason with the YouTube channel, all this stuff, it was to dude, I love helping people so much that I
Mhm.
would just kill myself to do it. But after getting out of total scarcity and getting finally comfortable, now it's purely for the sake of helping other people. I
I love
like, dude, that's like what wakes me up in the morning. I that's why I would never stop because there's all these people that I haven't even met yet. Like just to be useful and to be a contributor in society. My wife just walked in the studio. Come
Yeah.
here. Come on.
Tell her I said hello.
Eric Glenn says hello. Hello.
She's shy. She's like, I'm not coming to the camera. Listen,
I'm gonna go.
Huh?
The dogs were freaking out, so I'm gonna go. I wanted them to come in here because they were.
Oh, they wanted to be in here with me.
Uh-huh.
The dogs want to be around me so much that
that's a good thing, man.
come here, baby.
No, I think that's important. I think that if you understand your why and what you're doing in life, your success will come to you much quicker. And Keith had said something. When I got to a number that I never, well, I always shot for. When you do $1 million in business, right? That's your, like, you feel like that's it. When you get there, it, the grass still needs to be cut in the backyard, bro. Like, like I still have other stuff I got to do. Like those are phenomenal goals and things that we hit as a company. But then like I'm like, oh great, I hit that. But now next year, January 1, it goes away. Right. So now I have to start back out where everybody else is. One truck guy, I have to start where he is at zero. Scares me to death. Right. And so we have to just push through that and we got to keep going. But and I keep bringing myself back to my why and understanding of why I do what I do. That's what makes it go around. So yeah, you do $1 million in business. Everybody's like, I want to do $100,000 in business. When I hit 100,000, I was crying, bawling my eyes out. Right. Same thing. $500,000. When I did a quarter of a million, I did 100,000, quarter of a million, half a million, 3/4 of a million, and then a million. You have a different breakdown all through there, right? You have like all these emotions, right? But there's just a lot more. I say it like this: people are like, "Well, I want to be there." If I gave you my business where it is right now, you wouldn't be able. I'm not talking to Keith, but I'm just talking to this person over here. Nobody, okay? They wouldn't be able to handle it, right? They wouldn't know how to keep it where it is today. That's why when you get these companies and they're passing down their kids, they fail tremendously. They don't understand how they know how to spend the money. They just don't know how to save the money and continue to reinvest that money in order to stay alive, which is cool. Oh, those are cool comments coming in, man. See, like for that person, whoever Jay is, like that's huge, right? And like so Keith isn't like a celebratory guy, right? And what I mean by that is like he gets excited, and this is just from me looking outwards in, is like he'll get excited when you guys succeed, right? And that is
Bro,
oh,
meeting people that at live events that like
huh?
say that they were hooked on drugs and they were able to get their act together and get off the drugs and then get a business. And I meet like some guy, and he's got his wife and his kids, and he's got a house and a business now, and he was literally totally like practically homeless, hooked on drugs. Like I hear these stories often, and the guy starts crying, hugging me, saying like, "Dude, I found you and some other guys on YouTube, and I listened to you, and then now I'm on this whole other place, and now I'm doing this, you know, $5,000 or $10,000 coaching thing." Like I don't take any credit for any of that stuff. I'm just saying these conversations I had with people because I I I, I grew up around people that were alcoholics and drug addicts, that people that didn't stand a chance, and I feel so incredibly blessed. Like I've been to a lot of funerals and things like that, and I'm not trying to make this go into a super dark place here, but
Right.
what I think where I want to sum this up is if you're like, it seems like you're incredibly motivated by money, and society lies to you and tells you if you get all these nice things, then you'll be somebody and your dad will be proud of you and all this stuff. But it's like, it's all lies. It's all a facade. It's all fake. It's actually all bullshit.
Yeah.
And,
Keith,
and it,
let me interject there for a minute. I have everything I've ever wanted. My dad's not here to celebrate with. My mom's not here to celebrate with. They're dead and gone. I have everything that I ever wanted and dreamt about, but I don't have them here to share it with. So if your mom
that
and
sucks, man.
yeah, if your mom and dad are alive, if you're going through a hard time, and just enjoy that moment where you're at. Like, it's okay to not like rush to become a millionaire. I'm not saying don't strive and crush it every single day and not work 120 hours. I'm saying that too, okay? But enjoy those moments, because you know what, Keith? I can go make another $1 million tomorrow, right? But I won't be able to see my kid play that baseball game again, right? So when this is very important, and this is something that I don't always share because it's important to me, is that when you start to understand that everything doesn't cost money, everything costs time. And as soon as you realize that everything in this world costs your time, you will start using your time very valuable. Money, I can always get back. I can always get my money. The time that we spent on this live that Keith has taken away from my sleep, I can never get back in my life, But no, I can't take back the 3 hours or the hour or whatever it is I was watching social media today, right? I'm not saying I was, but I'm saying I can't take that back, right? So social media times that out by what you make an hour has cost you that much money. And so you got to be very careful with your time. I think that's important. Yeah, he says I can relate. My mom just passed away. You've got some inner demons there. To work out. That's going to be hard. It's going to be difficult. I'm not a demon as in being mean or weird or anything like that. But I mean, I just celebrated my mom's 21-year anniversary on the 8th, and it's still hard. It's tough, but do them proud. You know, they'll rock that name, and they'll rock and be the successful person they want you to be. It's all right. You can leave that mic on. That's what they're born nature to do, is bark. They're just saying hi. But I don't want to stay on too much longer, just because I know Keith has got puppies going around, and I'm sure he's got a loved one going wants to go to bed too. But I'm going to say this to you guys. I love you. I appreciate you. You got to work hard for what you have. Don't take anything for don't take anything for advantage, especially time. If you listen to people, including your employees or whoever you want to, just start listening to people. You might change somebody's life by just listening to them for just a moment. You know, I'm in a different predicament maybe than you guys are now. Years ago, I was in the same predicament that you guys were in. And I didn't make like one big super change in my life to be where I'm at. I made a bunch of little changes, and it was like, this is the way I needed to go, right? But I kept making, I didn't make like one exact change and went to, like, it was just little, and then I'm like, oh, here we go, we're on the right track. So, and the very same will happen to you is if you keep making little, like, if you eat a hamburger every single day, like, that's bad, right? But if you eat a cheeseburger like every once a week or once every 2 weeks, it's not so bad, right? Well, it's the same thing. Make bad decisions often, bad things will happen. It's like, it's very middle schoolish, but, or elementary school at that, but it is so true. So, get out there and hustle. Um, don't complain to me if you're not working 120 hours a week. 120 hours, that's crazy. You're like insane. Well, I don't know. How insane do you want to be? How bad do you really want it? You know what I mean? My kids reap the benefits of me working hard. I've lost a lot of time with them, though. I'm gonna tell you that. So be there for them. As I get older, I think about death more. I'm getting to be almost 40. I got 2 more years before I'm 40. I'll be 38 this coming up year. So I got 3 years really. But I think about it. Yeah, 24/7 hustle for sure. I think about death a lot, and I couldn't imagine being where I'm at, Keith. I laugh sometimes at myself when I walk in the back bay and I see my Corvette and all this materialistic stuff, and I laugh. I'm like, oh my gosh, I must have fooled somebody. You know what I mean? Like, I just laugh. I'm like, I actually did it. Like, we're doing this. And above all the material bull crap that I have, I get to help so many families out. I help my employees' families out. I feed their kids. I feed, their lifestyles. I feed their cool cars that they're buying. I feed their home, if you will, their rent or mortgage payment, dude. Like, that's the exciting stuff. Like, I get to hire people and I get to pour into these individuals, and they get to know like the real me. Like, there's people that know Eric Bland on YouTube and Facebook and that, and then there's people that know Eric Bland, like the N-word Eric Bland, where you know, I would give the very shirt off my back for somebody, and then I would also give you the finger at the same time with my same shirt on until you go get screwed, right? If it was a different person, right? So there's two. He might have to like pause that or whatnot, but no, like, there's different parts of me, but that part of me to give back to my employees is huge. I love doing it, man. I'm constantly taking good care of them, and that's important. So to cue up the conversation is, if you're first trucker, right? You're still in the truck. Start to figure out a way to get out of the truck. Well, how do you do that? We'll start to think some ways to get out. Think about them who's can replace you, right? So go back in the conversation. If you don't know what the who's are, you can rewind this probably and start to figure out, who can I get to do what I'm doing. So then that way I may be able to, hire somebody else. And then it will just continue to go. It says, I took a leaf blower to Keith's video, made roughly 35,000 total revenue first summer this year. Cool. And that's awesome. I love that. That's inspiring. So now how do we take that and like take that 35 in total revenue? So pay taxes on that. You probably make around 15,000, 22 at best, maybe. And how do you repeat that? How do you do that next year? Go to, what was that? What that other one said? Take care of your employees better than the money. Yeah. So here's the thing though, like, people that say it's not about the money, that those people that say they don't have money. like, I'm not trying to be rude, but and that person didn't say that, but I'm saying, like, people's like, well, money doesn't matter. Actually, if you want to save the rainforest, you have to have money in order to save the rainforest, right? So you have to do that.
You know what's funny?
What's that?
Upon first being introduced to you, Eric Bland,
Uh-huh.
some people might be kind of shocked because when you speak, you don't have a filter,
No,
right?
not.
So, and they might misinterpret you
Hmm.
and be like, "Whoa, that guy is braggadocious, or
Right.
he's cocky."
All
But
everybody.
if you just get rid of all those thoughts that might pop up because of what society says how you should filter yourself, and just listen to what you're saying and the intentionality,
Hmm.
it's that's why I'm not really talking all that much. I'm just listening to you because the sub communication of everything that you're saying and where it's coming from and the intentionality, it's coming from a vibration to that. You're just speaking truth.
Yeah, and I don't mean to sound like I'm being weird here or whatnot, but like you would have to like stand up tall and like you have to like push into like a new dimension, if you will, of where I'm vibrating at. Like everybody's like, what is he talking about? That's crazy thought, right? Well, you have to like lift your vibrations up. Just keep lifting them up, lift them up. And now we're on. I'm not saying that I'm on some other level than you are, but the people that are watching, but like you have to like raise your bar to where I'm at so you can understand what's
Yeah,
going on.
you're
Right?
so my friend David Carroll said something funny to me one time. He owns Dope Marketing. The guy's brilliant. He's funny. He said, well, what's the difference between crazy and eccentric?
Well,
$1
just
million bucks.
exactly. This guy here says he forgets to breathe.
Oh
The
no, that's was that Sonny Suggs?
Yeah, it says. I
Sonny
think
Suggs.
I think it's because, and it goes for Keith and I. When you see Keith get excited, like you just a little bit ago, he like spurred out a bunch of stuff, and what he's doing there is you have to like stop the video, rewind that back, and when you start hearing me talk real quick, you got to stop the video, and you got to like, and you got to ingest that a little bit and say, wait a minute, how is he reading that? Like, how is he trying to explain that? Because you're right. A lot of people take me as like, hey, this person's all about money. And my big driver was a lot of money. Okay. But having the stuff I have will allow me to do so much more than people that don't have money, right? I can't have a bunch of employees and take good care of employees if I don't have any money, right? So like I have that my driver, but I also have these things as my goals and my trophies that I hustled and bustled for. Theirs might be a brand new whatever horse or something. I don't know, a barn. Yeah,
There's a lot of inner game work that it takes to get to a certain place. Like I don't know, we have hired a cleaning lady to clean our house, and
hmm
people are like, what do you mean you're in sale? Like, well, how would you waste money on that? Who do you think you are? There's people, you grew up poor. There's people that are starving, and you think you just a cleaning. And I'm thinking like a cleaning lady comes for a couple hours a week,
yeah.
charges, a few $100, and then I can use that time literally closing deals. I could close $5,000 worth of work in that time or more.
I don't
So
I don't know if
we're
you see this couch right here.
mm,
See those lines? I don't know if you can see those
yeah,
lines.
I can. What is it?
Okay, that's from my housekeeper. Okay, she makes those lines. I'd never be able to make those lines in a couch, but she knows that I like my couch being vacuumed up and down, so she does that for me. I can't. I don't have the time to do that crap. Okay, I'm busy as all hell, right? But you're right. I can go do other things. You get to go do other things. The things are, Keith, we're not good housekeepers. Are we right?
But you stay in your zone of genius. But I'm not talking like you're not like in the garage. Well, if you're a painter and you're painting a mural and like it makes you money, it's like
Mhm.
in the 3D the 3D world that we live in. There's man, there's maxims, there's principles, there's doctrines, there's commerce, there's jurisdiction, there's all these different things, and unfortunately, where we're at in our state of evolution, there's a complete economy, and some can say it's a control grid, some can say it's I don't know how far I want to go with this, but we have to make this stupid stuff called money,
Mm-hmm.
and if you could find a way to do what you love or love what you do and have passion behind it, then
See, Keith.
it's,
What
you know what
I
I'm
think?
saying?
Well, I know what you're saying, but what happens there is that you're on a level right now. You're vibrating at this level that, like, most people have just missed what you've just said because they don't understand it. It's like you're speaking tongues to them, right? And
Well, actually, I'm not. Look,
it's actually, I'm not. Look,
there's these two things right here. Like so, the Black's Law Dictionary and Jesus Christ in the New Testament. He brought the new law form. Like he didn't teach people how to get rid of Roman civil law. Taught people how to operate outside of the jurisdiction of it. And he says it all right in here.
Yeah.
Everybody just leaves and they just all bounce. They're like, "Oh my god, it's crazy!"
I've seen the sword. I gotta leave.
So it's like you just listen to what this guy says. I
Yeah.
didn't say what he said. I said listen to what he says.
Yeah, that's exactly the truth right there, and it is huge. That vibration that we talk about is that I get annoyed when I used to hear like millionaires talk. Right, I used to get so bothered because the stupid thing that they say is, if I can do it, you can do it. I'm like, dude, you have no idea where I'm at in my life, right? No, I get that now because I stayed laser focused. I understand what they mean now. If I start a business, or if everything goes to hell in a handbasket tomorrow, I can start a business and be again. And I think he did miss his calling to be a preacher. Honestly, I think that's the truth. Because here's why I say that, Keith, and take no offense to this, is if Keith stopped, if he stopped doing all the social media, if he stopped helping out everybody, you know how much he could help his own family. Do you know how much like it's incredible? Like, guys, if Keith got that for like one split second, he would be like off of this stuff, sell everything social media wise, sell the cameras, do it away with it, and he'd have like 300 guys next year, right? And you guys would be looking him up like, what happened to Keith? Did he like what? Where? Oh, like I would be nervous because like all of his trucks would be like driving all over mine, right? The problem is Keith, I did that social media thing, man. I got out of it. And I hope he doesn't get out of it because he helps so many people. But if he just got out of it, like everything around him would grow even exponentially. But what happens is he will continue to help you guys, and he's giving part of his life to you guys. So since he's doing that, and since he's allowing you guys to be in his life, take what he's given you and at self value and like use it. And I got out of social media and all that crap like 3 years ago. And Keith, my life has been tremendous. Right now, do I help out everybody that I used to? No, no, I don't. Do I miss that sometimes? Yeah. But yeah, the free content he gives is exactly what you're talking about tonight. Yeah, like this right here, like he should like pause you guys out of this and make you pay 10 grand for each person.
Dude,
I'm
I
not.
just
I'm serious. Like, and then everybody's like, "No, I wouldn't do that." Well, then you're not the clientele. But we're on two different. Like, we're two different levels. Like, I'd make you pay for this. Keith is like, "Yeah, I'll give this stuff for you for free because I think it's important." Right? Like, like I would be like, "I want to charge him, Keith." you know?
well, so I uh I do consulting and I charge people a lot of it's YouTube, internet marketing, startups in their business. I've been doing this for like 7 years.
Good.
And but I also pay people to consult anywhere from 150. Like right now, Joshua Latimer just launched a group and it's $5,000 to get in, and it's called War Plan Insiders, and it's a private mastermind implementation group over 6 months. And the caliber of people in there, it's like I just knew that I needed to put down the camera and become a student and learn. And now I'm in the group, and I was nervous. I kept pacing around. I'm like, dude, I just know that I need to do this. I need to put my money where my mouth is and throw my heart over the bar and bet on myself and join a group of people that are high caliber that will uh, hold me accountable to
Yes.
implementing what I say that I'm going to do, because you can consume all the free social media and even buy online courses, but you can't get leverage on yourself to get yourself to actually do it and implement it. Then it's all worthless. It's all just going to become head trash. So that's
Right.
why I'm paying to do stuff and um, investing back into my own education for real, you know?
Keith, you said again, you might have to pause, Keith, and like rewind and back on that. Like, I don't think you guys understand this for a second. Like, I don't do no coaching anymore, so I wouldn't want you guys. Okay, so, but honestly, if you could, like, just call Keith this week. Like, maybe he'll have like a contact or something he'll put down here, and like, just check in and say, like, I was thinking about consulting. I think I should do it. I think it at 10 people should probably call Keith. I don't know how many people are watching this video or if anybody's watching the video, but 10 people should call this guy this week and say, yeah, I need to coach. Probably too many people for him to coach right now, but 10 people should call him and be like, yeah, I need to set this up. And here's the reason why. If you're not reinvesting in yourself, and if you're not paying somebody to show you that it's to reinvent the wheel, if you will, like Keith has been through it. So why go through the wheel process? Just figure out how to create a wheel. The wheel's already created. Just follow what Keith is saying and be successful. I promise you. Okay. But also, if you don't pay Keith, I'm not saying pay Keith, but if
What
you
is
don't,
going on here? Are you
yeah,
pitching something for me?
I'm
I
pitching
don't
something.
want you to do that. This is
Just give me a second, okay? If you don't end up paying Keith or paying a coach, then you'll end up paying for it in the long run some way or another, right? So he had said something years ago and I didn't pay for it. So thanks, Keith, because Keith gave it to me for free on YouTube. He said, if you're not doing what you are supposed to be doing, you are doing the wrong thing. Right. So what he meant by that is just like, so you're cutting the grass, right? I'm like, yeah, I'm still cutting the grass. He's like, well, that sucks. He's like, are you any good at the grass cutting? I'm like, no, not really, man. He's like, but you're doing it, right? So you should be doing something else, but you're cutting the grass, right? I'm like, yeah, so, yeah, I'm doing that. You know what I mean? And him and I didn't have that conversation. I'm just having this conversation with him over on the YouTube saying, yeah, Keith, yeah, that's what I'm doing, right? And then I'm like, I should probably hire that shit out. Right? I should probably not be doing the grass cutting, house cleaning, right? I mean, not me, right? So he's giving you a lot of information. It's probably time that people start turning the buck around and start like, you know, investing back into this guy.
I'm good.
No,
Hey, no,
see,
I'm.
that's your problem, man.
I mean, you can't. I
Like here's the thing.
okay.
Just let me
I mean,
talk.
I make plenty of money on the internet. I
He,
make probably
he,
10 times the amount that I do in my actual landscape
he
business. But
does, but I'm not saying that he needs the money. But the problem is, Keith, is that
if anybody wants to talk to me, keithkalfas.com/call. I do it on Monday nights. And if I
please,
can't help you, I can direct you to someone who can. I'm hooked up with a whole network of coaches.
yeah, it's not that he needs the money, but it's like going to a free concert or going to church. If you guys are not church people, then I don't know. It is what it is. You go to church, and what happens is you sit there and you listen to this amazing message, and then they pass this thing around, and it's called a tithe, right? And you tithe into that. It's like maybe it's time to like tithe back into him a little bit, right? Because this stuff that he's playing around on
Well, I know
tonight.
what you do. Instead of if you anybody wants to give some money, go to blessanorphan.com. There's an
See,
orphanage, and
see,
take the money you would have given me and give it to the orphanage. Blessanorphan.com.
see,
And
he's so much. He's such a selfless guy. He doesn't take me
no,
very well. You're like my son Trenton. My son Trenton, yeah, he doesn't like kudos. He likes you being at the games, and he knows that you've seen him score a goal, but he doesn't want any kudos about why he just scored a goal. Okay, so, but I think that's good to go, Keith. I'm gonna hop off here, man. I just want to say, number one, congratulations on where you're at. Congratulations on where you're going, and congratulations on being the person that you are today.
man, that means a lot to me. And back to you as well. It's I'm super happy you hopped on tonight and to grow in this friendship and know that I can run into you anywhere, anytime. And if you got a minute, I could literally just take my phone out and make a dope ass video with you and we can laugh
You already
and
know. I,
chop it up.
I was at Oakland Mall the other day. I'm like, "Where's Keith?" All right, you guys, I love you. If you guys have any questions, reach out to Keith. I won't answer any questions, but if you ever really want to contact me, I'll chat with you guys a little bit. But any coaching, please sincerely go to this guy. He's a little too selfless for me. He's got to get a little self more. But I love this guy to death. Think you should be charging you guys at least $100 an hour. But man, kudos to you and your friends there. And dude, I'm looking forward to seeing even more growth from you this year. Congratulations on trying back into yourself this year by paying that 5,000 into your own studies and your own education and your own groups there. That's a phenomenal thing to do. And keep at it, man. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you guys later.
Good night, bro.
Later,
Later.
brother.
Man, that was awesome having him on. All right, guys. Have a great evening. I'm gonna wind it up. and good night.